your birds can be healthy, and out of the blue you get a disease that will kill. Poultry farming is a business that will give you profits and even bypass neighbors when you don't want to do it. When a broiler overgrows, it faces heart problems. The more you sell off your broilers earlier, the more profits you make. Even if you haven't seen any bird dying and you reach a certain week, for example, you reach 1 week and it's supposed to have 185 grams to 200 grams, and for you find yourself having 140 grams. It's a health check. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam rahmatullah.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
To our broiler farm.
What's the name of your farm?
I haven't registered yet, so I call it Noor Farm, Hajat Noor.
So what do we have here?
This farm was started in 2020, COVID time. So when I got married, my husband did not believe in farming. I kept on pressuring him, let's do something small. We are all working. We cannot just look at our monthly salary. Let's have something home. And it was not until COVID hit us, we were all home just looking at ourselves. And he was like, okay, let's try with 300 birds. I actually got them because birds were at a very low price. I got them at a very low price. And he would help. That was something very funny. He would come and help in the feeding, putting water. And because market was low, I hawked them. I would wake up in the morning, slaughter like 30, then I hawked.
You?
Yes, then I hawked them around.
Okay.
And that helped because people were buying at a higher price.
Because they were all at home.
Yeah, they were all at home, and you clean the bird very well for them, then you deliver. After, we got really nice profits, and I had to pay him a little, which also amused him.
That was a huge motivation.
Yeah. It amused him so much, like you're home and you're making money and you're paying me something little. That's when he was driven to constructing the houses for me. During COVID, because I had labor, all the kids were home. I had so many. I had so many neighboring children that would come here and play. So I resorted to making bricks, as I reared those 300 broilers.
Okay.
So I made bricks here, and when we reared the 300 broilers, they were profitable, and boom.
So which one is the original structure?
Initially, everything here was not there. I was doing it from the garage at home.
No way.
For the brooder, when they were in the brooder, I put them in the garage because, brooding, we need to cut off the air and too much wind. They need that warmth. But when they grew older, of course, they couldn't fit in the garage. I killed my outside kitchen. It was small, and transferred some of them to the small kitchen.
I see. There is always a way. What really inspired you to do poultry farming? You should have thought of other things, but why poultry?
I chose poultry because I come from an agro-based family.
I see.
I grew up with parents who do poultry. It's actually where I am, or we are where we are with my siblings because of birds. Like, you eat birds, for us we get tuition.
Wow, that's interesting.
It's an inspiration from my parents. Basically, how can a farmer take about 8 children to school in good schools? I tested the waters after campus. I went to what we call white-collar jobs because, people perceive poultry as a dirty business. I did go and try out the office work. But one, salary is not enough. And 2, there is nothing better than, especially on the women's side, there is nothing better than you managing your own business. You waking up in the morning knowing that I'm supposed to do this and this and this, and I'm not going to answer to any boss. Then later, I attend to my children. Yeah.
So you're doing broilers mostly. How is the mixing? Some people say you just use broken maize and the concentrate.
Now with broilers, it depends on what you want. We have pellets all through all stages. There is pellet for starters, there is pellet for grower, then there is pellet for finisher. But if you don't want to do pellets all through, you can use pellets for the first 2 weeks, then you start mixing at the 15th day.
Okay.
Yeah. So me, I mix after after the 2 weeks.
People say feeding your chickens on pellets is expensive.
Yeah, of course it's slightly higher than the person mixing, but also remember there are times maize goes high, whereby there won't be any difference.
Really?
Why would you mix, yet even after mixing, and you're not assured of your accuracy anyway. You're not assured of the quality of the maize you're using. So unless maize is too low, you can go into those. But if maize is high, maize has ever hit 2,000.
Yeah.
1,800.
Yeah.
So by then you see the difference is about 200. I don't think there is a big deal. You just use pellet. Feeds. Most people who come into broilers, they calculate the amount of money they have into their pocket that they're going to put into the broiler farm, such that by the time they can even calculate, me I will sell at 4 weeks, me I will sell at 6 weeks. So in most cases you cannot tell a farmer you add in more 2 weeks, such that this one sell, then you bring yours back into the market later. Actually, people who are in agriculture, not only poultry, we have a problem of market instability. You're not secure of your market. Today there is market and it's very good, then out of the blue all of you are motivated to go into the same business, and you say let's all plant maize, let's all do poultry, and because you're so many, you're going to flood the market. And most people, especially broiler farmers, people who go into gardening of perishable goods, they have a limitation. Like, you cannot do tomatoes and the whole village is doing tomatoes, and you expect you store your tomatoes, like I will bring out my tomatoes when these ones are off the market. So you either have to cut the price such that they don't rot, and you sell them off. And that's the same thing with broilers.
Wow.
When they are all mature at the same time, you cannot say let me stick mine on the farm. One, when a broiler overgrows, it faces heart problems. So market instability, that's one of the problems. And in COVID, it was very common because people were home. They could not transport their birds to the market. That's one. Two.
So before you go to the second, how did you, we could use your experience on how you did it, and maybe we can borrow a leaf.
In COVID, when we all reached market and people were stuck home with their birds, remember they could even borders had a time limit. They would stop at lunchtime. So me, I used my social media, internet. So I would call my friends, for example. I make an appointment with my border guy that tomorrow you're going on Entebbe Road. I give him the contacts of my customers. I wake up at 3. I slaughter about 20 to 30 birds. Then I give him, then he runs and distributes those birds, then he comes back with money. Then he was also making money because, people were not moving in COVID. So you give him a job, and you also sell off your birds expensively because you've
delivered
and you've slaughtered. It's actually clean chicken. And I had few, because that could not have worked if I had about 10,000. I had just 300.
Are you using the same trick now? Are you still slaughtering?
Yeah, I do slaughter. After, people are many that do slaughter. And I when I go to a restaurant, actually, I make sure this is something I want farmers to know. You're not going to tell someone who's selling you feeds and someone who's selling you chicks that you have to come and help me look for market. They also have their own problems.
But the companies do offer that window.
If you have a company that is selling to you chicks and they are offering that window that after when they grow you bring them to us, it's okay. But it also has its challenges. It has its challenges. But I would encourage also you as you move. Now, for example, me, when I go to a restaurant, I don't care which restaurant, even if it is Serena. I go to the chef.
Really?
Yes, I'm a poultry farmer. Be bold. Look for market yourself. You are in charge. Tell your neighbors, I sell chicken. In case you have a ceremony, I can slaughter for you. That's how I look for my market. In case I'm teaching, even when I go to teach, because I teach people about poultry, I go to different places. So after teaching you, I also tell you, because there are people who come into those places to learn, but when they're already market chicken buyers. When you go into the market to buy home things, you can go to where they sell chicken and still market yourself. Yeah, you don't stop. We have our brooder.
Hey, how old are these?
Exactly 1 week.
Yo, they're healthy.
Mashallah. So here we expect the heat source to be okay. Despite the fact that they are 1 week, you see the windows have been
Opened. Yeah, I was going to ask. Isn't the heat escaping, as people say?
we need as much as we need the heat, we also need the aeration, and we need very good clean water. That's why you see that the drinkers are a little raised. You see even the feeders, make sure as much as possible you try to get chick feeders. We normally use yellow and red because birds are attracted to colored equipment. Here we use charcoal. That's why you see pots. Yeah, we also mix it with the briquettes, and we opened up for the aeration. If you do not open up, you see there is that smoke that comes out of the burning charcoal.
Even the briquettes, eh?
It causes cough in birds, and you'll be like, I brought chicks when they had cough, but no, it's you're the problem. And especially people who use charcoal, I would encourage you to make your heat to lighten the stoves from outside. Then you bring it in when it's already ready.
When it's already lit.
Birds talk, though they cannot. They communicate actually. They communicate. When it's too hot, they run to the walls. When it's too cold, they engulf around the pot, the heat source.
And we don't have either so many women in poultry. They might be there, but they are in the background.
As a person who holds a family, it doesn't matter how many birds you have, but at some point, I would encourage everyone who can do, even if it's just 100 birds at home. One, do you know that there are some days in your home, you wake up in the morning, you are alive, yes, but you're not secure of that. You don't know what you're going to eat.
True. It's a daily hustle.
Yeah. So at some point you're assured, in case my pockets are dry or my husband's pockets are dry, the kids are sure there is sauce. They just get a chicken and slaughter. And they have stew with anything at home, posho. I'm not talking about the food, because most people will normally, especially when the kids are getting holidays, they store food, they get posho.
Yeah.
And also, people who have some good land, they know you put some cassava, put some potatoes in their gardens. They have banana plantain, but in most cases, sauce is hard to get.
True.
So apart from being secure of the food security, two, you have a backup plan as a lady. It's especially for those who sit home. I would encourage, as much as they leave Kamenza for you, encourage your husband to get something little. You start with just 20 broilers, because me where I stay, I have ladies that I encourage to start with just 20. They reached 50. They don't remove their profits. They leave them there. Kamenza, they get a little and they also inject the money there. Before you know, you can do 100 broilers plus. So when they reach the target of 100, then I let them order for their own chicks. But these ones who start with 20, they fear to brood, So I encourage, I would tell them, when you see someone is selling at 4 weeks, actually they would normally even come and buy from me.
Really?
And yet when your birds reach 4 weeks and they're out of the brooder, please sell to me 15. So today she'll come buy 15, the next time she'll buy 20, the other time she'll buy 45.
And then they fatten.
Yeah. They fatten and they take to people who sell in kilograms, and they get some good money. So when I see she has hit 50, I tell her to order for her own birds. Then I help her out in the brooder because she's near me. And teach her. Then before you know, the person who had 100, unless they don't have space, they can do 200, 300. So you have a backup plan, and trust me, all men lie to you. They want women who stay home, but all men love women who have money.
True. That's very important. Did you hear that? All men love women who have money. Not even lie to yourself.
Yes, it's a lie. They will tell you, I want a woman who stays home, takes care of my children, I come back home. All men love women who have money, because at some point he will need your help. regardless, however rich he is at some point. And you yourself, where you come from, you have people that need you. They need your pocket.
True.
So you're not going to go and ask the man every time. Even if he has, he'll feel drained. You have siblings, you have parents, you have functions. You can have functions in your family. In 1 month, you can have about 8 functions.
True.
So if he can help you foot 4 of them. Then the other 4, you do them yourself. And also, there is nothing that amuses a man like coming back home and he finds something new from his wife. Like, how can you do that when it's not your money? Yes, so we have to work hard as women. There are things that we as women, we would wish our children to have, but I'm not going to ask the man. I'm not going to ask them.
And there are some details they don't understand.
Yeah.
They don't make sense at all to them.
The first house we were in, they are 1 week. So in order not to run out of the market, you make sure if you have more than one house, you can say I restock every fortnight or after 3 weeks. May I do after 3 weeks? So here we have 3 weeks. The other side, 1 week. When they make 3, this one will be 6, and we shall be pushing out. Then we bring others. So you see the feeders are different from the other ones.
These ones are bigger, but there are those medium-sized drinkers. I mean feeders. Should a farmer be buying them?
Some people buy according to their pockets. Yeah, it's not that everyone wants to use wooden, but because it's affordable. Yeah, but if medium and it does work for you well, then I have no problems. Now you see these ones. Now like this one is supposed to be out. This one, I told you these ones are 3 weeks, but now you look at this one, it's like as if it's 1 week.
What happened?
I think it got some good diseases. So this one, even when we treat it, it cannot get fine, despite the fact that it's alive. And Maki, they don't die. Such things don't die. They can stick there in your house. The big ones die, but this one is there. So I encourage farmers to remove these ones. If you have dogs, you cook for your dogs.
So what are you going to do with it?
This one we just kill and bury to protect these ones. Any disease that comes hits this one first, and it stays with the disease there, and it does not die. So save the other ones. But do you find those ones dying? This one is not dying.
Are broilers vaccinated against Marex?
Truly, they are not. Though farmers crammed it. Yeah. The farmers crammed it that they're supposed to be vaccinated against Marex. But in broilers, we vaccinate Newcastle IB, we vaccinate Gumboro. And of late, very many farmers had problems with Gumboro. Mostly those two. Because by the time you sell them off, normally Gumboro hits us at around 3 weeks to 6. So that's why we do Newcastle and Gumboro.
This litter, well, how often do you change it?
Actually, I don't change litter.
No way.
I don't change litter up to 6 weeks. Now you see problems with litter. People rear broilers in a very small space. I've seen teachers, I'll call them teachers, I'm not going to say vets. I've seen teachers telling farmers broilers don't need space. That's a lie.
Yeah, that you must compact them together so that they can gain weight.
Do you see that broiler that has pushed its leg the other side? If you do not give them space, how will it eat and stretch out like that? They like eating and they stretch. Then they spread their wings out. The only problem is broilers don't want to move a long distance to find feed and water, but they need the space. So how are you going to help them in that way? They have space. Make sure you have enough feeders. Make sure you have enough drinkers. It comes back to the people. You go into their farm, their birds are so squeezed, then you're like, they need space. Then she tells you, I do not have space. What can I do? They go on to remove the feeders and they go on to remove the drinkers to create space, not knowing that the few feeders that are left there are only going to be useful to the strong ones only. The weak ones are going to be boxed out. And until when the other ones are full, that they will have a little left for themselves. That means you're going to have birds that are not uniform in weight.
I see.
So when you reach market, it's good to reach market when the buyer comes and takes all the flock at once. You get your money at once.
Other than someone coming and picking, checking the chest and the breast.
Sell, and you sell for 2 extra weeks because they come and tell you, you add those ones food. And so the money they've given you is the same money you're using to buy food to feed the ones that are left there. So make sure you have enough feeders, you have enough drinkers, and you have enough spacing.
Okay.
Me here on my farm, I give one feeder, I give it 25 chicks of 25 broilers.
They say broilers, you're supposed to give them food throughout.
Yeah,
How do you measure if you're giving them food throughout?
So you make sure that feed is there 24/7. For it will rest. Because even now when you look into the house now, there are some that are not eating. They're just there panting and just stretching out. For it rests. After eating and drinking water, and it feels like rest, it goes and rests. So you give it 24/7. It brings us back to the other question of some of the challenges. Some of the challenges we have in Uganda is electricity. So you're there, your birds are eating during day, but at night they cannot eat because electricity disappeared. So what we do, if you can afford, you get solar. If you can afford, you get solar to help you feed your birds throughout the night, such that they reach the target and market as early as possible.
So I'm just wondering, why did you zero down to broilers specifically?
When we constructed the houses, we started with layers. Yeah, we brought layers first because, of course, layers do work.
Okay.
Yeah, they do work.
So in COVID, you were doing layers?
I started with broilers, but after we constructed the many houses, I brought layers.
I see.
Yeah, I brought layers because I knew they were going to give me more profits. So, because partially there is a company I'm working for with my brother, I could not really give too much concentration to the layers, and they need maximum attention. They are like babies, regardless of their age. And also the COVID market was too low. A tray of egg going out at 6,000. They have to eat, and McHugh, that's when they haven't fallen sick.
Yeah.
So I could not balance books well. I sold them off and brought broilers. You know, with broilers, when you have someone you trust working them, and most of the things are automated, you can just spend a little time in them in the morning. Even when you come back, they are fine, but they're not like layers. Layers, you have to be there 100%. Yeah. So that's when I took in the broiler work, because it requires less time. Yeah.
And here I was thinking that broilers need more care than layers.
They all need care, but broilers need more care when they're young, about when they're in the brooder, that the first 2 weeks. If you somehow trust the person who works in them, which I do, because when they're in the brooder, I give them that time. But with layers, that time has to be persistent throughout the year. Yeah, it has to be persistent. And I mean, they lay the whole day. So if you're not there, those boys get lazy to go and pick the eggs. So you find that birds eating the eggs. Then they keep lying to you. They did not lay. You buy medication and start medicating healthy birds, which is a loss. Yeah, so you have to be there. They cannot feel. That's why I'm telling you, they're like babies. They cannot feel it like you, the owner.
Okay.
But these ones, it's just food. If the food is there and the water is there, everything is okay.
I see. Interesting. So what's your take on this debate? Broilers, layers, which one should I start with?
Start with, if you're really naive about poultry, I would encourage you start with broilers, because they go away very fast. Because if they are getting a disease, if you're staggering somewhere, they're just left with 2-3 weeks to go away to sell them off. But a bird that is going to stay on your farm for 2 years, you have to be well informed. You have to have knowledge about it. So we have in the same house, you're not allowed to have different ages.
But you're breaking the rules.
No, I didn't break. These ones, when they gave me these birds, the person who gave me these birds were, me, I weigh. I told you I weigh on day 1, and I start weighing every week. So when we weighed on the second week, these ones were smaller. So I had to give them special attention.
But they are the same age as the other one.
You see, I like sourcing out from different people. I don't know whether they mixed. Challenges, of course, some of the challenges is safety, especially with people who do layers and crailers. Of course, even broilers, they do steal, but it's not so easy for people to come and enter your farm at night. Normally, there's 2 broilers as you're selling them off.
Hey, how?
They can make you, if they come many, I encourage farmers, if you see so many people have come to buy, you have about 400 broilers, and about 6 men have come to buy. 6 men to come and buy 400 broilers. Just like, no, be cautious. Because, and when they tell you, let's pick as you load, don't accept. It's your house and it's your business.
Yeah, and
you go
rules.
in, count yourself, and you give them. So in most cases, they disorganize you there. As you're loading, this one is saying you did not count properly. Here, you're too slow, so that panic, they steal. So why is it not easy to steal a broiler at night when they just bump into you? Because they can hardly know. You remember a broiler goes off the farm in about a month or a month and a half. So they think it's in a brooder, yet it's already 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's you who knows. Unless you have an insider that is going to be informing them.
Okay.
But also even their transportation is not
easy.
Yeah, they easily die. But with layers, they pack them in sacks. You cannot pack a broiler in sacks. Yeah, with layers, they pack them in sacks and they come at night, they cut those meshes, you see there. They cut the meshes, then even crailers. And you know crailers, they grow so big, they attract. And for them, with crailers and layers, they can know that this bird mature due to the voice.
Yeah. They're also noisy on the farm.
Yeah.
Wow, interesting. So how, those are the basics of how someone can deal with the thieves. Another tip, because it's a serious issue most of the farmers I interact with.
Yeah. Some people do bring cameras to the farm. Then you try as much as possible, especially with layers. That's why I told that's why I resorted to broilers. Because during day I'm not around, I'm at work. So during day, these boys can lie to you, the birds are not laying. They're the ones selling the eggs. You find your farm boys conning girls in your area and gifting them your eggs and birds. You find your neighbors feasting on chicken every weekend, yet these boys are selling to them, or they are even your in-laws. You find your neighbor is your in-law. So this boy is giving his father-in-law gifts. And from your farm, yet you are unaware. You go on buying medication, not knowing. There are so many losses. So unless you're there, that's when you'll know. Yeah, you try to be there on your layer farm. You try to be there on your crailer farm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So I know, there are so many things I've learned already with my little interaction with you.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are things that you wish you knew when you had just started out this venture.
Some of the things that our farmers do not talk, of course, they will encourage you to come into
the business.
They'll tell you how profitable it is. But they will not tell you that sometimes your birds can be healthy and out of the blue you get a disease that will kill. Poultry farming is a business that will give you profits and even bypass neighbors when you don't want to do it. But it's the same business. You can be very happy and they bury in the next 2 hours. So it can cause pressure, and it can, it's equivalent. Its effects are equal. But if you take everything the way they taught you, if you come into the business after serious studies, attending seminars, because we offer free seminars in different countries, parts of the country.
Okay.
And even when you just call, we organize a group of 10 to any number. You give us a direction of where you are. We teach freely. We do not charge.
Mashallah.
Yeah. So why do we do that? Because we want you to know what you're coming into. We want you to come into the business when you're well equipped with the information and knowledge that you're going to apply. So many people just come into the business when they're naive. So when you ask, for example, you go to a farm, they tell you, the person who told me to start poultry told me to come with 200 broilers. But they did very well. But when they did very well, that same person who booked 200 broilers will book 400 the next time. He or she hasn't increased the spacing, they haven't increased the feeder, the number of feeders, nor the number of drinkers. So those are some of the things we want to point out before you come in. Don't get excited on the first time. Yeah, do the right thing that was supposed to be done.